Welcome to this introduction to Phonebox 4 from Broadcast Bionics. This is a quick overview to help you navigate your way around the screen, and we'll go into more detail in further training videos. So to open up Phonebox, you just need to find the shortcut on the desktop and double click that, and then you're going to get some dialog menus. Now these will differ depending on which radio station and even which machine you're sitting at, so take some local advice about what you need to select here. You may also find that you have another dialog that comes up which asks you to log into a particular show name if you've got more than one show configured at your station. Now when you open up Phonebox, you might find it looks a little bit different from my system because mine is a test system. So this layout is called 3-column view. It's one of our most popular layouts, but you can have different views depending on which job you're doing. Your system might also look different even if you're using the 3-column view, because maybe you've got more phone lines than I have, or maybe you've got a different number of devices down the bottom. And perhaps you haven't yet bought the Oasis social media module, but you'll get the idea during this training about what each element of the screen is doing. So to start off with, over this side, this is where your phone calls are coming in, and you can tell the lines are ringing because they're flashing orange and yellow. If you've got our Skype TX for radio product, you'll see that the Skype lines ring over here where the Skype symbol is. The middle section is the on-air queue. We'll come to this in more detail in a later training, but this is where you can show information to your presenter, like which calls you'd like them to take in what order, and you can also put the best social media messages there for later review. Over on this side, if you have Oasis, which is our social media module, you'll be able to see tweets, texts, Facebook messages, emails, whatever you've got configured coming into here. You can also find the call log. This is a record of every phone call that's come in and out of your station during your show. There's a lot more that we can do with it, and we'll go into that in detail in a separate video, but for now, this is where you can find the information about who's been phoning you. If you're outside a studio and you're maybe in a cubicle area, down here is where you can answer phone calls if you've got a headset or a handset connected and take brief call details. Across the bottom is where your devices are. Now you might call these hybrids or TBUs, it depends which part of the world you're in, which word people like to use, and this is how you connect phone calls that are phoned in on the lines through to the studio itself. And finally, we've got the chat area here so that you can send messages to anybody who's logged in on the same show as you. So maybe you're giving some instructions to your presenter, or maybe you're having a quick back and forth with your colleagues in the office area about who might be a good person to call back next for your show. So having a look at this in a tiny bit more detail, over here, let's say we're answering the calls, we can start to make an editorial decision about who we might like to answer before we even click on a line. Maybe we've got someone whose name is already in the system, that means they've phoned us before, and perhaps there's someone with just a fresh phone number. So that means that we have got a caller who's new to us. So perhaps we might want to answer the new caller first rather than the person who rings us every day. To answer a call, we can simply click on the line. If you've got a touchscreen, you can just tap, and then we can take brief call details here, the name, where they're calling from, and what their call point is about. So maybe we can put in something about whatever the phone-in is for today. If we want to put them through to the studio, it's a simple drag and drop, and they're now connected through to our presenter. Again, there's a lot more we can do around call handling, and we'll go into this in a separate training. At the top, we've got different options. Some of these might be different on your system. For example, if you've got a virtual director system, you can click this button to open the menu for that. And a really useful one here is the view button. Now, depending on how you've got your system configured, one of the things you might be able to do is just press this and it'll put the system into a docked view. So if I need to just check something on the internet, I can still see that my phone lines are ringing, and I can then come back in to my main view. We'll go into the on-air view in detail separately, but here again is what it looks like if I've got something in my on-air queue. And just for completeness, here's what happens with the chat. So maybe we can write an instruction down here. And if we really want our presenter to take notice, if we put an exclamation mark at the end, it'll turn red. So this is a brief introduction to the layout of the 3-column view screen. Phone calls and Skype calls, if you have it configured, come in over here. We can put a little running order together of our favourite tweets and messages and phone calls so that our presenters can see them over here, just like so. This is where we can deal with our social media and texts and other email messages. And this is where we can find out information about the callers that have been phoning us during the show. This area here is where we can take brief call details, and down the bottom is how we connect through our callers through to the studio so that our presenter can then use that call on air. If at any point we want to hang somebody up, we can just use this little magic slider and you'll see another menu opens up here. And in fact, anywhere on the system where you see a square with a little slider, you'll open up another secret menu. That's one of the ways that Phonebox 4 works. So this is a brief overview into the layout of Phonebox 4, particularly in 3-column view, and I look forward to seeing you in another video.